So here is my topic, and should the Papal Envoys bring gifts for the Mongols? Basically, I will make a comparative case studies of John of Plano Carpini and Ascelin of Lombardy concerning of the uh, uh, concerning the issues of gifts giving. And first, I would like to begin my presentation with some short remarks concerning the current research situation. Recently, there's a growing research interest in the gifts in the transcultural context between the Papal missionary and the Mongols, and there are several excellent studies. But after we analyze the studies, we can still identify at least from my point of view two gaps. The first gap is that the studies lack of the perceptions of the Mongols, their ideas about the gifts, and also they didn't answer the question about is it there some kind of diplomatic protocols of gifts givings on the Mongol side. And Qiu Yihao's recent article had partly answered this question. And my own MA thesis at the Central European University Budapest, I also deal with this question about the social lives of gifts in the Mongol imperial court. And the second gap I found is that there's no information on the question whether where is the place of gifts giving in the papal diplomacy and missionary efforts. And this is a topic I would like to cover in my today's presentation. First, some kinds of general backgrounds about the Fourth Council of Lyon. And Zhuja have already presented very detail about the Lyon. I just want to mention that, and before the Council of Lyon and the Papal Innocent IV have departed for diplomatic groups. John of Carpini, Anthony of Lombardy, Andrew of Longjumeau, and Lawrence of Portugal. And the one big issue is that for them, because they are among the very first diplomatic groups to the Mongols, so their information about the Mongols are very limited. And even some kinds of informers who appeared on the council, like the Russian Archbishop Peter, the Master Roger from Hungary, and even the Tatar who appeared on the council, this information are very probably not available for them. So the questions are, since they have very limited information, then how do they proceed their journeys with the Mongols? So I would like to make a comparative studies from based on Carpini and Ascelin. As we know that they are going to they went to two different directions. John of Carpini, who choose go to the east from Bohemia to Poland and to Russia, and finally arrived at Karakorum, Mongolia. And during his journey, he obtained lots of valuable informations and helps from the kings or lords of the Central European and Eastern European countries. Here are here are the texts, and he first go to the king of Bohemia, then he get a helper of at the court of Bosnaus, Duke of Silesia, and then he go to the court of Konrad, Duke of Lazy, and here he get a very important source information from the Lord Washko, Duke of Russia, basically from the Galicia, Wallonia. And according to his, the Washko told that it's very important for the Papal envoys prepare gifts for the Mongols, because if you do not do that, you cannot properly fulfill your mission, and because you will not regard equal parts to the Mongols. Then as we know that finally Carpini successed and fulfilled his journey, and he was granted an audience by the Khan Guiyou. And what happens to Ascelin of Lombardy? He chooses the road to the Near East, and his journey was well recorded by Simon of St. Quentin. And basically, he met a very serious problems with the Mongols, both in the issues of gift giving and the issues of genuflection. And so here are some texts. And Ascelin of Lombardy says that it's not customary for the Pope to send gifts to anyone, especially to the infidels and the unknowns. And so and in the end, Ascelin, he as I said, he entered into serious conflicts with the Mongols, and his life, he himself was almost killed by the Mongols. So based on these two cases, we may further to ask what kind of explanation we can give for these two very different outcomes. And the first explanation I think we can give is the practical explanation, is that the intelligence gathered during the road really matters. Here we can come to the issue of Central and Eastern European countries of the Mongol invasion in 1213s and 1214s. The countries like Bohemia, Poland, Hungary, Galicia, Volhynia. These countries already have some kind of, let's say, diplomatic experience with the Mongols, and they already know the Mongol protocols. And the second thing is that the ecclesiastic networks operated very well in Central and Eastern European countries. So Carpini get a lot of help from the local bishops or archbishops. One of them are the bishops of Krakow, who give a lot of gifts to Carpini, and this gives finally Carpini gives the gifts to the Mongols. And another thing is about the Benedict of Poland, who joined Carpini as his companion and play a great role to help him. And another thing is the internal dynastic connections among these dynastics. It actually functions as a kind of network of patronage for Carpini. Because as we know, that it's some kind of, for the travelers, the long distance travelers, is very important to get helps or get some kind of referees from one place to another place. And we can even find some maybe proper parallels in the East Eurasia. Is a Chinese Buddhist traveler Xuanzang, who get a lot of help during his stays at the place of Gaochang, today's Tulufan in Xinjiang. And the second thing explanation I would like to give is, but let's refer to, should the Papal Envoys bring gifts for the Mongols? Because Ascelin said that it's not customary for the Pope to bring gifts for the infidels and pagans, but actually it wasn't the reality. We can find some kind of previous examples happens on the periphery of non-Christian. For instance, the during the 5th century, St. Patrick, he gave a lot of gifts to the Irish local tribal leaders and to preach his preach. And we can also find one example in the early 3rd century, Papa Innocent III, who gave a lot of gifts to Capolan of Tureda, Livonia tribal leaders, which is on the Baltic region. And actually, we can even further to argue that, according to my point of view, there is a noticeable transformation to a positive strategy of gift giving with the Mongols. We can find a lot of examples. One very interesting thing is about the religious gifts, which is a very good example to investigate such kind of transcultural context. For instance, we can find a temple of Chop, which was sent by the French King Louis III. It was brought by Andrew of Nondrumont, and finally it arrives at the hand of Hamish, the winner of Guiyou Khan. And another example is concerning an illuminated satyr, which was given by the Queen of Louis the Ninth, and it was carried by Winnie of Rookbrook, and finally it was given as a gift to Sarta. And we also found a very interesting example about the holy oils from the lamp at the Jesus tomb in Jerusalem, which was brought by the Polos and to the Kublai Khan. And for the Pope itself, there are very famous gifts of horses. And in the 13th, 14th, the Pope Benedict the 12th, who prepared a very, let's say, very extraordinary horses to the Yuan Emperor. It was brought by John Marigoloni, and it to the Yuan Emperor Tohuan Tianmo. So here's my conclusion. First, we can say that we can argue that the traditional scholarship which stresses the avarice and the excess of the Mongols in demanding gifts should be maybe reconsidered. Gifts given in diplomatic context is more or less a Eurasian phenomenon. Actually, the Roman papacy likewise practiced. The second one is I would like to argue that a transformation to a much more positive strategy of gift giving can be identified in the following periods between the Mongols and the Westerners, no matter the Papal or the rulers of the regular rulers. And the third thing is that actually, in addition to the physically military conflicts, there are another area of battles in the Mongol Eurasia, that is symbolic competition in gift giving and court riches, which is also a topic of my PhD dissertation at the ELTA. So thank you for your attention.